Hello. Hello, Swantje.
How are you?
I'm good. Good to meet you. Oh, I love your contrabass in the background. That's just wonderful.
Oh, it's my husband's double bass and assorted electric basses. Yeah, so
Awesome.
he's the
Okay.
muso. Mm.
All right.
Where are you?
Um,
You're somewhere in Europe?
I am based in Hamburg, Germany, correct?
Seriously? Oh, my brother lives
Yeah.
in Hamburg. I'm German actually. Ich komme aus Kiel.
Oh, my mother lives in Kiel. Look at
Mm.
that. It's a
Mm.
small world. And where are you calling from right now?
I'm in Sydney.
In Sydney, so it's winter, as I judge from your jacket.
Yes, yes, yes. And
Well,
it's 7 a.m.
yeah, I know. I'm sorry. But yeah, actually, the weather in Hamburg is as chilly as you might imagine from
Mm.
northern Germany. So
Yeah.
I'm wearing my thin jacket as well.
Yeah, Northern German summer. Yes,
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. And I see that we have Chris online as well. Here he is.
Greetings,
Hello.
folks.
Hi,
Hello.
good to meet you, Chris. Where are you calling from?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Look at that.
Mm.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. So for you, what time is it? Is it like late afternoon?
5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. Okay.
And we have hot, humid weather here. It's about 90 degrees, and with the humidity, it feels more like 102
Oh my God.
Mm.
Yeah.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I heard you talk
Well,
about Germany. My sister and her husband and family live down in Bavaria, outside of Munich,
Mm.
and have enjoyed that very much visiting them. But they like to visit up to the north of Germany and on the Baltic and enjoying
Wow.
the seaside up there.
yeah. Bavaria is really, really beautiful with the mountainside. It's just absolutely stunning.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome. So maybe we have a few more people joining. We had quite a large group this morning. So we never really know how many people show up, but we can just start, I would say, perhaps
Mhm.
by just checking in. And I'm just, yeah, really curious to hear what brings you to this call.
Mm. You go, Chris.
Okay. Well, I'd like to come to this call, but just arriving here a little bit because I've been processing a leadership circle development uh, profile that I'm
Mhm.
going to, an assessment that I'm going to be doing tomorrow with a very interesting client, and it's a very interesting report. So I need to shift my gears back.
Yeah,
So
sure.
what brings me here is having seen David in numbers of places, and though never having um, done any of his programs formally in narrative or ID, I have looked at the materials and been very influenced by that. So I've seen him in
Mhm.
these places, and I've been tracking the whole notion of maturity. So
Mm.
I'm finding very much this sense of mastery as it shows up in the outer competencies of
Mhm.
coaching, leadership development, facilitation. Yes. And the inner mastery, the inside maturity, rather, I meant maturity,
Mhm.
the inside development of consciousness, evolution of consciousness that will support greater and greater levels of outward service. It's very
Mhm.
much tuned to clients. And I think I'm
Mhm.
brought here because in America, especially, it is it's scary, it's dangerous,
Mm.
it's confounding.
Mm.
And in some ways, it feels like when I'm sitting with a client and that stuff isn't in the room, it feels kind of odd that it isn't in the room.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
what I sense is that there's a bleeding of trauma, like
Mm.
unspecified anxiety that's in the room,
Mm.
but is not quite the topic that we're on in the room. It's the
Mhm.
it's the ecosystem
Yes.
coming in the room. And that to me says that's a matter of maturity to sit with that. There's no ICF thing that says, here's how you're ticking the box on your client has diffuse anxiety because your democracy is going to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So to be with like-minded spirits from around the world and to just know more what it can be mean to be in that sort of community that is
Yeah.
bolstering us from the inside out, affirming of all the dimensions of our humanity, especially for me right now, this sense of where is spirit, where is universe, or a larger container
Mm.
in which common humanity can be
Mm.
together with all our diversity. Where is that
Wow.
space?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, you pressed a button and I feel like I preached a sermon, but you are catching me at a time of many of us of great disturbance in the force.
Yeah, there's a lot of upheaval, rippling throughout the entire world, I guess.
Throughout
Yeah.
the world.
Oh, well, so much to talk about. But before we get into it, I'd like to hear a little bit from Swantje.
No,
What brings
thanks for
you?
sharing that, Chris. I mean, I'm coming
Yeah.
from the opposite end, I think. But I think we are meeting head on, actually, right here, hopefully hugging each other. I don't even have my ACC. So I've got a McDonald's toy equivalent of coaching qualification from ADGA, which is the ADD. I don't even know what it stands for. ADHD Academy, whatever, in New
Yeah.
York. And so I'm an ADHD coach, and I qualified 3 years ago, and I've never had much respect for my training. I think it was hopelessly inadequate. And I've got a background in philosophy. I've got a master's degree in ethics. So that is what I draw on. I've had, I've got ADHD. I've raised 3 children with autism and ADHD. They're young adults now. I've lived in 4 different countries. I speak 6 different languages. That is the stuff I draw on. And it's sort of funny, you can't say that in a job interview. You know, I've had 5 years of hardcore therapy with an amazing psychiatrist. It's not something you put on your resume, but that is the maturity I draw on, that I know that my crap is not in the room, that I can actually wholeheartedly embrace anyone and everyone and see them for who they are and what they are. So I work for an NGO. I've got my private practice. I'm on the books of a large psychiatry clinic, so that's where I get my clients from. I don't work with leaders. I mean, of course, amongst my clients, I have leaders of oil rigs. I've got primary school principals. I've got helicopter pilots, but I also have year 8 students. I've got people on methadone who, great, you know, they now have their diagnosis. They're now, after 2 years, ringing an OT to support themselves. So I've got a lot of mental health issues. And for me, a big thing is sort of to draw the line between mental health and coaching. So why am I here? What you said deeply resonates. I am I feel truly invited by David's call to arms, to unite, to bring everything we've got for the greater good beyond our clients. And I guess I feel a bit like a homeless soul, knowing that I change lives, knowing that I serve, but I don't even know where to get a mentor from, you know. With my eclectic background. And I don't market, I don't do the sales thing, but I make a living for my family. So I must be doing something right. So, and narrative identity was one of my favorite things at uni, you know, the work of Paul Ricoeur and selfhood. And social philosophy. So I see, like you, I see people in the context of who they are. They wouldn't have the certain anxieties if they were born in a different era. And simply explaining that to people, they lose the sense of moral failing.
Oh, that is so
Wow.
beautiful. So often, Swanchi, am I pronouncing it correctly, Swanchi?
Yes, yes, yes.
That same sense of depathologizing and normalizing and saying you're not broken. And this work together is not to fix, it's to evoke out of you a unique greatness. And now pulling from more theological traditions, the wounded healer, the hero who descends to the underworld to receive the wounds, which are the gift to the people he comes back to, she comes back to. So my heart just swells to know that you're in the world with that configuration of a life, not training, that configuration of your life that makes you ideal for the people who find their way to you.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
almost envy it as for saying, I'm a fairly neuro-normal, I'm a normie guy, white, old, middle class, doctoral studies in philosophy, although Anglo-analytic philosophy. So don't hold that against me, Swanchi.
No, oh no, oh no, oh no.
I
Oh,
recognize
no, I would not.
recur and love phenomenology. But, for me, I would define myself more like I am sort of in the box of the ICF. I did it by working in leadership development firms and then going to Georgetown and then getting ACC and PCC and and getting mentoring coaching and now being a mentor coach. So I feel like I want to get out of the box. I want to be free from that box. And I love that you're saying, box, what box?
Yeah.
And box.
I have probably spent more, I've sort of had, well, I think this is sort of my third career, but I've spent half my working life working in theatre. I'm a trained tailor. I'm a bespoke tailor. So because I never thought I had a brain because I wasn't diagnosed till, 7 years ago or so, it didn't occur to me to go to university. So the only thing I learned a trade and I became a tailor for, how boring is it to do tiny stitches? That's not for the adventurous soul at all. But what could I do? I got a job at the English National Opera in London and worked on Star Wars and and so I think my cutting edge, which is difficult, you seem to get this, but it's hard to explain to other people that the having been so, like what box, so outside the box that I didn't even know that there was one, having obtained mastery in the opposite spectrums in academia and in just the artisanship. It's such an advantage because I can see in people all their seeds that they just need a bit of a sprinkle of water and voila.
Yes.
So that is great, but it's not something that you can explain to the ICF people. And I'm not against ICF. I think in the absence of regulation, I think it's the best we have. And yes, I would love to, I'm just looking at how to muddle my way through. But I did look at, talk to a mentor coach. And he just wanted to sell me his program. So that was a waste of my time, like he thought I didn't even have the foundation. And I thought, look, I think we're a really bad match. Bye.
That doesn't sound like a mentor coach as somebody presuming to teach you coaching.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a pretty awful experience, actually. Quite soul destroying. And I thought, look, okay, just moving on.
Well, brave for you I sense bravery throughout here. The bravery just to say, I am who I am. And I know that that is an incredible, diverse gift to a huge range of people. Your scope strikes me, and not just from what you've said of your story, just your warmth, like just the energy or the connection I get from you, the welcome, the gentleness, the receptivity gives you an amazing scope, I'm sensing.
Yeah, I'd love to, thank you. I'd love to find my people, you know, and they don't seem to be here in, they might be here in Australia, but amongst my ADHD community, ADHD coach community, it's a very narrow thing. So I love what I know of David's work. I find interesting, and the you know, I have read a lot of the stuff. I've read the 5 maturities a couple of times. There's so much richness in everything he says. So I don't know if the design studio is for me at all. I haven't really got a great idea I bring. I have got no idea. I've got a vague direction, and I'm not in any kind of hurry to there's not a vision at the moment that I feel I need to fulfill. I've come to a place of happiness from where to explore, but I'm certainly interested in getting involved with thinkers, you know, like yourselves, who are aligned with my desire to do good in the world, or, you know, bring something bigger to it than just for individuals. Yeah.
I find I have this love-hate relationship with the competencies, because I find, I'm going to connect this sort of to adult development notions, that it drags me back to the expert achiever. I have to know all the right answers. I have to produce value for my clients. Am I bringing value? Am I creating results? And now I find I am doing the work of the client for them when I'm not paying attention, and I get sucked back to those metrics. But then I say, I have a little meme that is a long roadway of archway of roses, like a long extended trellis, so you can walk through it. And I tagged it with, the trellis is important, but only for the sake of the roses. The structures of the competencies are very useful to keep me from being a fly-by-night. But at this stage of what the world is requiring of leaders, it's all about the roses.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Swantje, are you familiar with the Enneagram?
Vaguely, very, 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 very vaguely.
Then I won't go there, because it can be a parlor game to guess somebody's type. I won't do that. But I will say, without using that nomenclature, from what you said, it does seem like you're able to sit from a high point of view that has a very comprehensive view of different people's experience and ways of living in the world.
Yeah.
And there actually is a type of that in the Enneagram, but I'm not going to play the parlor game, so I won't do it.
So what would you be looking for in the design studio? I would like to know a little bit more about it. Yeah.
I'd like to hear from Christopher, now that you've heard us and been observing this wonderful friendship being formed.
Yeah. Well, I'm just very moved witnessing this conversation. There are a number of things that I deeply resonate with. I myself got diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 49, which means quite a lot if you realize that you've been living with certain kind of narratives for most of your life.
Yeah.
And I'm still in the process of unpacking and making space for new narratives to take hold. And that in of itself is an extraordinary, rich, quite complex, but ultimately, hopefully, very rewarding journey. So narrative work, identity work feels very intuitively right for me. So this is why I've been part of the MI Institute for quite some time. I've been working with David for quite some time. He and I will be offering the design studio together as faculty. And we're working a lot behind the scenes to getting the program ready because we're also ID weighing our way into this program. It is in a way the next step, the next evolutionary step of the ID Way program into something where we see ourselves decentering ourselves as teachers more and more and actually making space for these generative conversations to take hold that we're having right now. So this experience itself is almost like an design studio experience. People coming together with all sorts of interests and backgrounds, with a lot of diversity, and a question, a curiosity they have, and wanting to find ways to figure out what's next for them to work with or to work on and how this could look like. And so people come with very different ideas about a project. Some have a fairly formulated project. Others come with a more of a question. For example, someone is just moving to a different state in the US, asking, what is this move? How is this move impacting the way how I relate with my new clients here in this other area? What does it mean to show up in my professional identity now as I'm also growing and developing with this step? And so our hope is that people will engage in these kind of conversations that we're having today, and find ways to also apply their discoveries to their questions in real time and give the studio the kind of art studio quality to it. Like you are all painters. We don't need to teach you to be an artist. You're all artists. But what we provide is this studio with some brushes and some waters and some canvases, and you will be bringing your painting, your art, and showcase it with others. We're going to have galleries, and people will be able to, you will invite people to, take a look at what I'm drawing here. And then, oh, that's really great. So let's go out into nature and sketch something together. Or maybe you could do this, or maybe I could do that. And so we want this studio to be really a living space, where it's not about teaching a methodology or a tool or something, because we talked about competency, so you can get them anywhere, those tools, but this kind of qualitative space for people to connect more deeply, and engage in collective learning, collective grappling with some of the things that you might experience from the outside world. What does it mean for you to work with clients who are predominantly, KPI driven, and where there's very little room for qualitative conversation about what's actually wanting to happen here? And how is that impacting me as a consultant or coach? And how can I stand more grounded and more centered so that I can identify new ways to open the space of possibilities for the client to step into a different space, for the project to perhaps take some new shape or form, hopefully leads to something else beyond the KPIs, beyond the pre-designed outcomes. So we don't want to discard this. It's just perhaps we can find new resources in ourselves to meet that challenge, rather than colluding, saying yes to everything, or saying no, I don't do this, and kind of withdraw. So I don't know if this is a bit of a long answer. I don't know if this makes any sense, but what's arising for you as you hear this, if anything?
I guess sort of for me, I've got a very different demographic. I'm not coaching in businesses, I'm coaching
Mhm.
individuals.
Mhm.
That's not to say I'm not interested in coaching a different demographic. Um, yeah, I think that what I absolutely love about I've just reread the 5 maturities is that the quality of the coach cannot really be measured by competencies or check boxes, because it so much depends on the client's readiness, on their
Yes.
openness, and on their availability. And so that's been, I mean, it is a no-brainer, right? But it's just so beautiful to see it written down and to have that reminder. And I should tattoo it on my forehead. And once you embrace that, you step into the room with much more authority, actually. And
Yeah.
once you embrace that, you actually invite the client to step outside their comfort zone, because you bring that into the room. So I don't know where this goes, this conversation, or my point, but that is one thing which has helped me, and I guess I would like to develop or take further, how to invite people, or how to communicate, I guess, in a non-verbal way, in a way of being, that there is a way for people to step into change.
Yeah.
Something we can't do for them, but there is something that we can trigger, is probably the wrong word, but yeah, I guess invite them by our way of being. And I think that is a really, really powerful idea. And the more we accept our limitation, that we could be the best coach in the world, we can't do anything for the person unless
Yeah.
we convey this and invite them to growth and change.
Yeah, it's beautifully said. And a couple of days ago, we had another Q&A session, and someone who is wanting to join was actually, the project she was wanting to bring had nothing to do with coaching, but she's actually a dancer. And she's in the process of developing a new live dance performance with musicians and an art exhibition. So how this can take shape might be something that she's wanting to bring to the design studio. We have someone who is looking at a photography project. And as we had a conversation about the project, the deeper question behind it emerged as to what it means for him to step more authentically into his work, both as a coach, consultant, manager, but also as an artist. So we hope that we bring a large diversity of participants to this group, because by no means is this supposed to be a coaching program, let alone a coach training. For sure it is not. It is, as you say, really about the work of what it means for us to invest in our own personal maturity, so that we can hold the client and what's happening between us and the client with greater agility, so that we invite the client to do just the same. And how that can look like depends very much on you and what you bring and the context in which you work. But I would say the qualities can be found in any scenario, never mind if it's performing arts or an organizational context or anything else. Yeah.
what arises for
No,
me
you go.
is to my sense is that I'm loving hearing that expanding this from coaching, or whatever that means, as a methodology or a kind of support to the human development of another person, while at the same time growing up and continuing our own journeys. So I so much welcome that other people in the studio would not be working with the kind of thinking partners that I work with at all. Or I'm starting to not call them clients, because I want to call them thinking partners. In fact, I want to call them dancing partners.
Oh.
They're my dancing partners. Now, they are Fred Astaire. I'm Ginger Rogers. So they get to lead, but I want to be very graceful going backwards in high heels in a flowing gown, if you can picture that metaphor.
Yep, I can.
And so what I love is that you will be with your partners in development who are nothing like those I see. But I will learn so much from what you do with them that we can transfer, like transpose it into the key of, I have a leader that has some neurodivergence. Or I have a leader who's trying to lead people with some neurodivergence in their space. Or as you're willing to be farther on the edge of, or questioning the firewall between therapy and coaching. I love that, because everyone where I'm hanging out with coaches that I love are saying, no, that skillfully handled, that is much more porous if we're honoring the whole person. And so I love some of my coaching friends who are going off and doing internal family systems specifically, so that that formative framework, not to offer therapy to their people, but to say, wow, what an informed point.
Yeah.
So I just am already, if we are there together, Sancha, I'm already just tickled to think of hearing your stories of being with very, very different people, and you doing some marvelous ways. And I say, I'm going to steal that.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I mean, this is when I say my coach training is like the McDonald's toy, you know, from the burger you buy, or the burger you buy for your kids. There is just this very, or it was this very transactional thing, you know, and given that most people with ADHD, they just are at such a low place of basic functioning often by the time they come. And they often come from a very socio-economic group where long-term coaching is not affordable. So you step into something where you are doing band-aids and just getting them up to functioning level. You're not doing this, you know, self-actualization, awesome, transformative stuff. You've got to do, which of course all coaches want to do because that's the fun stuff. But a lot of my bread and butter is just getting people back to work, getting them to keep their jobs. The wife is about to walk out, you know. I must tell my mother I'm autistic, or, you know, I can't cope any longer. And that might be the end of our relationship. So there is a lot of this very urgent outcome that people have to meet. And it's really hard to say it's got nothing to do with me. It's if I can get the client to do anything, that's awesome, but it can't be my responsibility. But their urgency jumps at me. It's not just about I'd like to function better, you know, or like would like to feel better. There's this massive anxiety and urgency. So when I saw David's work, which is so close to deep therapy, I was a bit bewildered, and I thought, no, that is coaching therapy. That shouldn't be. So I do understand that there is not black and white, you know, but in my work, I often have to draw a clear line and say, this is mental health and you need to see, you know, this is not my bag. However, the amount of times I have people saying to me after 2 sessions, they say, I've had 20 years of therapy. What you've just told me, bye, I'm good.
Yes. Yes. Mhm.
Because it's explaining the brain. There is so much, it's not just insight. You know, there's a lot of, so what? We've got all of this insight. What are we doing with it? What does it look like in the real world? Where does it manifest? What's changing now? And that is what's missing from therapy. Often, you know, there are therapists and therapists, but what can you do with a bunch of insight? You go like, wow, but then it's like it's never happened. Are you familiar with the PQ program with Shazat Kamin? Yeah, I thought it was, I thought in the beginning, I thought he was sort of simplifying complex things way too much. And I had quite an aversion. I use his stuff all the time with clients now, without putting them through the program. I put people through the program, but I also just give them some of the readings and explain. And I think it's actually beautiful to bring things to basics and step away from the details of some of the experiences and always focusing on what can I do? How can I flick the switch? So the whole conversation in the coaching room is just about what can I do? It's not about, you know, the bad outside world. And I find that so powerful. People get it very quickly. They become very quickly coachable once they understand those metaphors. Yeah. What do you think of him or of the program? What's your experience with it? It's just a program. It's just a set of concepts.
I found his work fairly early in my ongoing. In fact, even before I did my formal training at Georgetown, maybe 2020, and there are elements of the model which are very helpful. I do prefer, with what I said before, of depathologizing. I'm not a big fan of calling these inner characters saboteurs. I much prefer to say these are various roles or persona in you that came online when you were really young for very smart reasons when you were really young in order to keep yourself alive, body and soul. It's just now, at whatever stage and age and whatever the world is asking of you now, they're just not as helpful. There are stories now attached to them, or they got attached to stories. So I like that. I like many of the PQ exercises. It allows many of my clients to add very subtle somatic stuff. No one has to see in the meeting room that they're rubbing their fingers together so that they don't say that dumbass thing that they always do, because now they caught it and they actually have a little hack, a little way to calm the nervous system, and no one in the room is even knowing. I find that incredibly helpful, and still like little moves like that for myself when I need to regulate.
Yeah. And I think you're right. A lot of people focus on the saboteurs because that's sort of the first few weeks, and then they're sort of exhausted by the time they actually come to understand the sage power, and they don't take that in as much as the the voice of the negative. So I've got to admit that's a struggle. So I don't know if I'm going to renew my subscription and stuff. I think I will keep using Elements, because I think he's a genius in how he boils down some things. And this whole idea of mental fitness, you're never going to sit in a space where you're just going to be awesome. You've just got to work on it on a daily basis, really, and to make that sustainable and comfortable and joyous. I mean, that's just part of the big trick, that's how can we invite people to make that a pleasurable journey, to look after themselves on a daily basis and work on their mindset and body and soul, really, and mindset. So yeah, I've illustrated a number of those concepts, like the stallion and the farmer and stuff, and just send it to clients who've got no idea what PQ is, and they go, oh, that's so awesome, that yeah, why do I worry about the future outcome? You're right. Like, how will we know? Who knows? Exactly, who knows?
I will say it's such an honor to hear you're calling to serve people in real moments of great need that they're having. And their readiness for you might come from a great deal of pain and discomfort and rejection and confusion. And they are not among the privileged. I've got to tell you, sometimes I wonder, why am I helping an already rich white man get the next promotion? I don't want that to be and fortunately, it doesn't have to be the sum and substance of the serving way, because in fact, my practice is itself a nonprofit by design, which lets me and my board choose that even the for-profit leadership clients, they need to be sort of values aligned on sustainability and DEI and planetary, 7-generation ecosystems of systems bottom lines, or else they're not going to be a right fit for me, because I'm going to be about what's the higher purpose you want to serve and things like that. And, to be a great leader, you really have to serve the greatness of the people entrusted to your care, right?
Yeah.
I'm not helping you get a better ego so you can get the next promotion. So to be in your company where you're with people that in some ways would see those are the least and the last, they don't have much money and they are in dire straits, and that you're there for them. It's a great honor just to know you.
Well, I guess one thing which seems to be, well, it is quite huge, how to work less hard and make a living sustainably for myself, serving that demographic, and I have thought about scholarships but writing grant applications, and I know what that's like because I've worked in academia, and I know what the competition is like. I don't have the bandwidth to set up an NGO or social enterprise, or I just don't have the headspace to even think about expansion or beyond doing the work I'm doing at the moment, looking after myself, my family, and doing some nurturing professional development, not the tick box kind. I don't have time or money for that. But yeah, thinking along those lines, I guess, would be wonderful, how to make it more accessible for people, or for me to reach more people. Yeah, in a sustainable way.
It's just a privilege to listen to you. I mean, yeah, there's a lot that resonates for me personally, and I'm always intrigued by the interesting roads that neurodivergent people take. It's rarely very linear, and
Never.
I ended up working with United Nations and peacekeeping. I worked in conflict zones. and got interested in change and complex systems thinking, and that led me to a collaboration with the London School of Economics. And then I got interested in Taiwanese tea culture and tea farming, organic tea farming. And over the last 10, 15 years, I was moving around from one gig to the next. And I've seen and accumulated a lot also in terms of knowledge. And it is just over the last couple of years, more or less coinciding with the outbreak of COVID, that I gave myself permission to slow down and shift from accumulating more and putting next to each other, and to begin to like what I have and begin to build relationships among those things, hopefully to integrate him into a larger whole that is more than the sum of the parts. And I think I'm still in this process, and that led me also to return to the Moment Institute. So I did the ID Way program some years back. I did other programs, the NC program, and during the last program that I did, I became curious what else I can do as opposed to just listening and participating in the program. And I began to initiate all sorts of stuff in the cohort. Set up a book club. I set up a series um, of extra events where people could talk about how they were working and integrating narrative coaching with some other modalities such as IFS or Theory U or conflict resolution, and it really energized the entire cohort. And so I basically created my own job through that in the Moment Institute, because the thought was, well, we want to shift from a teaching program to a program where the space itself becomes the teacher over time through the conversations distributed to the participants themselves who have something to share, who want to contribute, who want to do something. And so it's just wonderful to be part of this kind of evolution, and also to see that for myself how this road with all these valleys and beautiful views, and then can lead to something that was completely unexpected for me, at least. And so for the first time, we talked about, didn't we? I think you used the word, Swante, you used the word homeless. I'm beginning to feel at home in such a community now. Not because everyone is the same, no, because we hold each other's differences and diversity very kindly and very openly. And I find this particularly healing in these times of upheaval, and where these humanistic norms seem to be kind of falling apart here and there. And so while knowledge is kind of democratized, where you can, have great learning snippets with ChatGPT, what you cannot get are these safe spaces to connect, to have conversations such as these, and out of that generate something new together or individually, and have these touch points to see how things are evolving. And so with that in mind, I think the design studio is trying to see if that's a proper container to offer that, because this is a pilot. And I believe that we are going to learn as much from the participants as hopefully the participants will learn from everyone who's joining. I see this really more of a dialogue or trialogue, actually. Yeah, so the diversity of thought and the background that you bring would automatically be a fantastic contribution to this whole space. And I can
How
say that
big
for
is the
everyone else.
cohort? Or how big of a, like, do you cap the numbers at some point? I'm just trying to understand
Yeah.
the size of.
So we were thinking of capping it, and we believe that this also, because it is a pilot and it is a new format, we imagine this to be more of an intimate space. And we actually appreciate this being a more intimate space. So, if it was 10, 15 people from very different backgrounds, would be a great group of people to work with, because it gives you this intimacy on one hand and also diversity. And we want to foster exchange and communication with a number of activities. So, if the program is designed in such ways that we will have 2 live sessions per each cycle. We have 5 cycles, and so in August we're going to start with what we call the immersion session, where David is going to be providing you with all the foundations, all the core materials and frameworks from the ID way. And then you will be working in peer pods. You will be given a stretch assignment that you can work with by yourself, or experiment with a client, or experiment in your context. And then towards the end of the cycle, we will come back to what we call an integration session, which is the one that I'm going to run, where it's basically about you sharing what you've learned, so that you bring this cycle to a close and prepare yourself to step into the next cycle. And along the way, we invite you to showcase whatever it is that you're working, and invite others to provide feedback if you want this, or let them know what it is that you're working on. And then by the end of the next cycle, you would revisit what you had worked on and presented for the first cycle. And by that, kind of map a little bit the progress that you are making, so that by the end of the program, you have a good idea of the journey you have come, but also what's waiting for you next. And this, again, this can be a very personal thing, that can be a project with a client, coaching or not coaching, really, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, and so we would be providing you with the core materials from the ID way. So if you had not gone through this program, you will be introduced to the ID way principles. Everything is underlying everything is the 5 maturities framework that you will recognize from your writing. So you will also learn about the 5 maturities in ways not at such depth. So the threshold work that is also part of the Guiding Lights retreat currently running at the MI is not going to be part of it, but still you would be getting the foundation of the 5M framework as well, and elements of the narrative coaching. So it's going to be a blend of different things, and hopefully here and there we are able to introduce something very new and unique without making it a training program with models and tools. Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
May I put you on the spot a little bit, David? Christopher?
Sure.
From having heard me talk and seen and taken me in my persona, what would you already perhaps venture as the kind of project that I could be bringing, or the kind of way that I would be looking in on other people's projects and helpful for them? And if that's really a strange question to put you on that spot right now, please just tell me so. But I wonder what, maybe a simple word is, what discernment are you making right now of that the universe has brought me into this conversation with the two of you, but what might come next?
Oh, that's such a beautiful question. One of the core qualities that I notice is a deep, appreciative curiosity that you bring to this conversation. The way I was able to watch you unfold in this conversation among yourselves was just a pure joy. And I can imagine that this will support other members in opening up very, very quickly and engage in these discovery generative conversations that might lead them to very new insights. I sense a lot of creativity around you, a strong, deep sensitivity, a strong ethical stance, and 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 a rootedness in both the corporate world and the world beyond. So in a way, you appear to be someone who is a good translator of worlds, who can navigate and walk in these different terrains without getting lost. And I think it's a great quality for everyone in this studio as well, because very often, including myself, we struggle what it means to work with a client who has a very specific desired outcomes, and then you have to spell it out, and what are the learning outcomes 1 to 3, and by how many percentage increase of blah 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 productivity. And when you read it, like, how am I supposed to know this on behalf of those? I've not even met them, right? And here I am put on the spot to write these proposals. And yet, but this is in a way the world in which we operate. So if I'm reading, or if I'm supposed to respond to such a request, I might say, you know what, I just give them whatever they want in the hopes I'll get it. So I may collude,
Yes,
and or I say, you know what, this is all ridiculous, I'm never gonna do it, and I reject it.
yes.
So what does it mean for us having other responses in these moments, so that we do have some kind of conversation with those people from the other side and build a deeper shared understanding for new possibilities to arise,
Mhm.
that may include some of those things, but maybe something else. And out of that something else that is not predictable, maybe something else can come. So David would call these moments of meeting. And that requires, that depends a lot on our own beingness, how we show up in these spaces. And you cannot really train this. There's no model, there's no book chapter that you can read and, step 1, 2, 3, A, build rapport, C, sit down and shake hands. No model will ever going to help you with this. But it is something that we can practice together, perhaps. If, for example, a, um, a participant comes and says, I'm really struggling how I'm supposed to respond to this client of mine. So here's the proposal. Let's act this out. Let's experiment. One of the exercises that I'm currently developing for the first cycle is very much about improvisation, using the jazz metaphor. So Alfonso Montuori has come up with a beautiful exercise that he used for his students, I think in the late 80s or 90s. And so, what does it mean to take a more improvisational stance and have greater agility? And so, I hope that I didn't deviate from your original question too quickly and return back to the program. But I feel you used the word dance earlier. So improvisational dance I sense in you, and so I sense this improvisational quality in you. So that's how I kind of connected again.
Mm. Thank you for this. May I offer a
Mm.
little bit more about what
Sure.
to give you a sense of what projects might be like? And this is just really
Yeah.
coming up for me very much in the moment, but this is the year that I will turn 70.
Mm.
We have our first grandchild.
Mm.
My wife still works as a seminary professor. I still get to do this work. We love what we're doing. They're very adjacent spaces about
Mhm.
a spiritual formative world, and me being with more of a whole person adult in the workplace, developmental. All right. And we Leslie and I are coming sort of to end of life issues,
Mm.
downsizing a big home, making sure our affairs are in order. Uh, Two of our three adult children are near here, including our grandson.
Mm.
So I'm seeing the sense of, if I have 5 to 10 really great years in this calling, which feels like a calling that has emerged, a convergence of everything, of 35 plus years of leadership and leadership development, org development stuff.
Mhm.
It's like, I'm at legacy time.
Mhm.
I'm at, what is that great good gift I want to leave before I make the big disappearance, and do it in a graceful way if fates allow. And
Yeah.
so it will have for me very much a very intense personal, family,
Mhm.
relational component
Mhm.
of, and then, yeah, I could be at a mature, just like we were saying, I don't have to collude and go chase work that is not the legacy, and
Mhm.
wait and look and position myself for the work that will evoke my legacy. I mean, how do I get
Mhm.
in front of it? How do I put myself in the oncoming path of
Yeah.
beauty? I want to get in front of beauty and get run over by beauty, is what I want, by one beautiful client at a time. So it's very pragmatic about business.
Mhm.
It's about my always growing myself as the instrument of the meeting.
Mhm.
Uh, and situated in this very fertile, beautiful time of life here. It's my elder phase.
Yeah.
What do you make of
Wow.
hearing me now share what's stirring in me just by how beautiful and open this time has been?
Take me. I want to say something.
Please, please.
I mean, it so resonates. I mean, this is the year I'm turning 60, so I'm limping behind. But I feel that time is my most valuable resource.
Mhm.
And this year has been the year of boundaries for me.
Mhm.
And I didn't understand. So I always thought boundaries was, you know, in relation to the outside world. And this year was the year when I understood boundaries with self, you know, and what a game changer it is to set boundaries in place with myself, and how much easier everything is, you know, my interaction with the outside world.
Mm.
And so I'm a fierce protector of, I've become this year a fierce protector of my space, because, you know, time is the most valuable resource. Both my parents were, well, my father was dead when he was my age, that the age I'm now, and my mother died at 61. So it's very in my face, sort of our finite time here. And I'm going like, this is most likely going to be my last career. And I feel like you, Chris, you know, I want to throw everything at it, absolutely everything. And like you, Christopher, I used to just, you know, bounce from one country to the next, and moving country, no big deal. Going here, doing that, not an issue. And now I'm thinking, what's in it? What's in it
Yeah.
for me? And so I'm very much investigating everything in terms of deeper value for myself and for what I can bring. I want to bring more than band-aids to the people, you know, coming back to that metaphor. So that really resonates, what you said, really deeply. Yeah.
Thank you for creating space where I can just be fully present to you and share my life with you.
And I guess a space like this is where we become more aware of our own value. And it's so important to celebrate that with others. Yeah.
I don't really have much to say, to be honest. I'm in awe. I turned 51 a couple of weeks ago, and I have, like Swantje mentioned, I have reached this point where the phase of expansion
Mm.
has come to a very abrupt and brutal end. And a lot of things got shattered.
Mm.
And I'm realizing that it would be a waste of time to try to fix the vase, but rather use those little pieces to create something new.
Mm.
Yes.
And it really goes very deep. And I'm beginning to realize that for whatever reasons, I never really learned to follow my own inner voice because I was very often just so distracted and pulled by all these external fabulous opportunities. I mean, who wouldn't want to live in New York for a year and then within a week start working in South Sudan? Just with the weeks in between. I mean, it's just the intensity um, was just mind blowing. And yet, over all those years, slowly but surely, I noticed a sense of inner defragmentation taking place, as if someone was kind of ripping away the outer parts of a carpet, becoming looser and looser and getting more and more to the core. And I realized this isn't, if I continue this, I have no idea what will be left. And so I guess behind this are also the question, how would I define an identity as something that is rather fixed and with clear contours? Or is it actually something else that is more dynamic, more fluid, perhaps? So, and again, I'm struggling for words here. So, um, it's also the first time that I begin to look backwards in my life. A couple of years ago, everything was just in front of me. And then through health issues and losses and deaths and all sorts of massive disruptions, I was called upon to stop in a way and to take note and to become more aware of the path that I had walked. And so I find myself right in the middle of this, um, with new opportunities arising, but a very different kind of life that is much more local. So I've been back in Germany not a long time ago after having lived abroad for 10, 15 years, and it feels very weird to be back home. It's almost like taking on shoes that have become too small, and but that's the pair you have in a way. So it's very strange on so many different levels. And it is it is my sense that many of the people that I have met now over the course of the last few weeks who are interested in David's work, and some other of his program, but also those people, in the design studio, they come, not everyone, but many come with much deeper questions. So when we start talk about a project, that soon gives way to much deeper questions. One also about kind of retirement, um, and what does it mean to shift into a different space of different phase in life, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to be having these conversations. To be, for me, that's a wonderful gift, and to listen to you is just a wonderful gift. You know, um, so I you're in a way, really ahead. So I'm in awe, and I can imagine Like if I was to join the design studio myself as a participant, I would be incredibly inspired to be working alongside with you. And if it's similar or perhaps even better, a very different framing of the questions that you bring, even better. You know, the sense I'm getting is that I'm being pulled up just by listening, as you know, giving me a different posture and perspective how I look at my own things.
Can you, Christopher, just a very pragmatic question here.
Sure.
What time are the sessions run? Is that like a crazy, like 3 a.m. for me, or where are we in the universe with the
Right.
time zones?
Yeah. So we plan to run the sessions twice a day,
Ah,
meaning
that's right. Yeah, okay.
to accommodate for those different time zones. So it's going to be 10 a.m. ET, New York time, and 5 p.m. ET, which is the time we met today. So for you, it would be 7 a.m.
Okay, yeah.
We would be recording the conversations. So in case you miss one, then you can revisit. And I always encourage people to then reach out to one of the pod members and have a one-on-one conversation where they tell you what they have learned. And by that, also build some more connections. Yeah.
So how is it if you have the two sessions, how is that impacting the sort of group dynamics? Do people sign up for consistently participating in either the morning or afternoon, or can you just jump in wherever?
You can
on
jump
the
in
day?
wherever. There are always a number of people who like to listen to it twice if they have the time. But usually it would be a hard call for you to meet in the 10 a.m. ET session, I suppose. Or for some other time zones, they say it's either too late or too early. But even then, the recordings would be made available so that you can listen to both. I had found that the times I went through the programs, I had often listened to both recordings because sometimes they were entirely different. Same content, but entirely different. Yeah, so 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. ET. Plus recording, and then we have the Circle platform where you'd be part of this community, where we'd be posting materials. You would be given a private YouTube link where we're gonna be storing all the materials. On Circle, you would have access to the ID core materials. And then we would be having this rhythm of individual work, group work, immersion, and integration session. Yeah, we want to make sure that the time distance between those events is not too long, because sometimes people lose some momentum when it's too long, but also not make it too rigid and too tight. So this is why the program is also shorter than any of other programs offered. That's yeah. So this is also a pilot. So we're going to learn a lot from all of you, and we plan to offer it again next year, probably at a different price point, and also perhaps from its design a little bit different. So this is really for the early adopters and innovators to co-shape this space with us. Yeah. Any other questions you may have?
No, not really.
No, this is good. Christopher, may I offer an observation or two?
Oh, please.
So some things came to mind, and one is the notion that perhaps you're falling upward.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps the collapse and the breaking and the down descent is actually in a whole nother dimension, the ascent and the expansion of your core self. It is the hero's journey, perhaps down in the underworld phase.
Yes, yeah, that's certainly how it feels like, yes. Yeah.
And then the other thing is the sense that instead of the rug getting smaller and smaller, what came up in me is just a sense maybe you're just being finely distilled. There is
Mm-hmm.
sort of in one way less of you,
Mm-hmm.
but the quality of the beautiful
Mm.
Armagnac or cognac that has remained from the process is just again similarly more and more the essential Christopher.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. I like to see it this way. And we had a conversation recently about Buddhism. I mentioned that I'm currently reading and reading about the Heart Sutra, and that I found it extraordinary, dense and beautiful and magical. I went to a 7-day silent meditation retreat in Taiwan not long ago, and that was just a mind-blowing experience. So we talked about the Heart Sutra and um, our attachments, and some said actually before Buddha was enlightened and sitting under the Buddha tree, he was harassed by many of these villagers, throwing all sorts of stuff at him and judgment and ridiculing him, and as he was sitting and moving from one village to another. So, in a way, this was a necessary process of pain and unraveling that was needed for him to reach that state. And I suppose, you know, one of the models in the program is the developmental threshold zone that David has developed. And it's very much about supporting clients to creating crucibles for them for significant shifts and change to happen. And so crucible for me, the way I understand this is really where kind of everything begins to melt, and then you give it a new shape. But for that you need the heat, you need the you need to go through this energy shifts and all this kind of things for it to so they can mold it by life. And so yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me in a way. I don't know what the shape's going to be. It's like a sculpture, they chip away everything that's not necessary anymore. Yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
that.
it's beautiful to let go of stuff. It feels so
Mhm.
impossible, or used to feel, and it just becomes easier. And the more you do it, the the lighter you feel. Excuse me, and the
Oh.
lightness you bring to others, and to
Hmm.
it's just the ease it brings. It's phenomenal. Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping to go back to Nepal over Christmas.
Mm.
I loved Nepal. We went quite some time ago, and I like that there's the work of Rick Hansen. He's written Buddha's Brain. Do you know his book?
Heard of it.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he's referring to a lot of studies where sort of meditation and prayer have
Mhm.
changed the brain, and how you can change the brain from,
Oh yeah.
by
Hmm.
paying attention to different things, and how,
Mm.
yeah, and he explains it beautifully in layman's terms. So how it just gives us so much agency that we can understand where we put
Mhm.
our attention. It will
Mhm.
actually physically change the brain, and not just sort of momentarily. Very powerful stuff. Yeah, so I'm certainly not an expert on Buddhism, but boy,
Mm.
it's quite something. There's a lot in there.
Yeah. I come from an anthroposophical background, so I went to the Waldorf school, and I it never really sat comfortably with me without me actually being able to explain why or why not. Um, And now I'm beginning to see some really big differences. I mean, each in of itself quite beautifully and powerful and rich and aspirational. German idealism and developmental journeys beyond death and reincarnation, and very much with strong focus on your sense of self through the karmic worlds, whatever. And then Buddhism saying this is all it's all a delusion. Just the enlightenment is the opposite direction, letting go, becoming aware of its, of your attachments to things, ego attachments. And I find myself currently holding these polarities, the contradictions quite intensely inside of myself, because I'm infused by one and I'm learning something else. And it's just a beautiful mess right now. It's just a beautiful mess right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I work with parents of children at Steiner schools and stuff, and they're so like, oh, we're floating and this is it, and I just have to bite my tongue, and because internally I go, oh man, it's so prescriptive.
Yes.
Yes, you're doing all this beautiful drawing and it's so expressive, but the expression is so limited because you're only allowed to use this color at this stage, and it's
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got to get ready to see some friends, my good friends, if I may call that.
Yes. Hey.
What a wonderful surprise at 7 a.m., my time to have this call. So it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful.
I would
Thank you
love
both.
to should you have any more technical administrative questions regarding the program, please feel free to reach out at any time. This is going to be our last Q&A for now. So should you feel it would be helpful for you to have maybe another conversation with David, because he's traveling today, let us know and we can see, what's possible. If that can help you make a decision either way. And otherwise, I would be thrilled and happy to see you again in our program or in other capacity.
Thank you.
Sounds wonderful. Sounds
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. Well, then for me, it's midnight, so
time to go.
Time to go. It was wonderful meeting you. Thank you so much that I could listen to you.
Yes.
Just wonderful.
Thank you both. And I hope our paths will cross again.
Yes, I hope so too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.